Money doesn't buy happiness, but without money, life is miserable. I knew this well, and after my mother had died during childbirth, a part of me always felt that my father resented me for that. But my father was a kind man all the same, working hard to provide for me. He was a knight for the kingdom, and I always looked up to him for that. But after the queen had died, things became grim, and one day, my father had no choice but to bring me to the kingdom. But to our surprise, the king invited me to meet the prince. My eyes sparkled with glow as I traversed the halls, opening a door to find, well, the prince's room. We became quick friends, despite being from totally different worlds. My family didn't all have that much money, yet we got along just fine. I loved being around Crosby. It didn't matter what we were doing, as long as we were together, everything just seemed alright. Despite the fact that the prince was practically never allowed to leave his room, we always found something to do together, from listening to the maid stories to watching the birds outside. We too, inseparable pair, but as the years continue on, new problems began to arise. My father was killed when I was 14, killed in battle. It hurt me to no end, but the prince was always there to give me a loving hug and kind words. So many days were spent of crying into my chest, yet the blonde prince never seemed to grow tired of it. Whenever the prince looked at me, it was as if that he was the only thing I saw. How could I not be developing feelings for my friend? He was the only friend that I had in the world, after all. The other knights teased and made fun of me. They thought I was weak, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The moment I turned 16, Crosby's father began to hint about joining the Order of the Knights that kept Holdenbriar safe. I didn't entirely know what to make of it, with the loss of my father and everything, but this offer wasn't ordinary. I wasn't expected to protect the entire kingdom. I was only expected to keep Crosby safe. Truthfully, I never felt though Crosby needed protection, but I also would never turn down the opportunity to keep my best friend safe, to keep the one person I loved out of danger, to be his protector. It all sounded like a bit fantasyland. I didn't know how to tell him though. We were laying on Crosby's gigantic bed one night, and I finally came out with it. But instead of the joyous response I expected, I was met with a stunned silence face. "Why would you do that?" Crosby was quick to stare at me with wide amber eyes. "After what happened to my father," he said. "It's not important. I just want to keep you safe, my prince," I said, my face all flustered and full of confusion. "But I don't need you to keep me safe. You're my closest friend, Rayner." I flinched as he said that. Crosby had given me the name Ray like a week after we met, and I didn't understand why the prince was so worked up over this. "My prince." "Don't call me that," the blonde sniffled, unable to control his munches as he stared at me down. "I don't want you to be your prince. I want to be your best friend. I want... He didn't finish his sentence. He threw himself onto me into a kiss. It's not as if I didn't see it coming, though. I carried the same emotions for Crosby all throughout my childhood. I just never expected to come out like this. Although Crosby wasn't happy with the arrangement, he got over it, but our relationship wasn't the same. I was far afraid to find out his father's reaction, and then we decided together that we should just keep it a secret. It would be the best thing for us. But secrets don't last forever. Now 20-something, we had changed quite a bit. Crosby looked as great as he did back then, but I looked so rugged due to stress from work as a knight. It's not like we didn't care for each other though. If anything, our love had grown stronger. But we had grown careless as we embraced each other one to another to a door. Crosby's room slowly creaked open. "What is the meaning of this?" Crosby's father spoke quietly, staring at us. "Father," the prince tried to speak, quickly moving to sit down in front of me, but to no avail. His father grabbed the fabric of his pajamas and threw him down to the side. He grabbed me by my collar and slammed me against the wall. So full of rage, he was practically frothing at the mouth. "I trusted you," he screamed. "I trusted you were my own son. This is how you repay me? By bringing the devil into the kingdom and trusted you to protect? You are to be executed by dawn." The room went silent as Crosby was now hyperventilating, staring at his father in complete horror. "My king, I am not your king," his father whispered before calling out to the guards. "Guards, take him to the dungeon." "No," Crosby screamed, but the knights were quick to subdue him. Our eyes met for what feared would be the last time, and I couldn't stomach it, but I smiled. "I love you," I said, tears rolling down my cheeks as I was dragged out of the room. "No, no," the prince continued to scream. "No, this is wrong, father." His screams faded as I was dragged down the hall. Same halls that filled me with so much wonder all those years ago. It didn't feel real anymore. Why was I being punished for loving somebody? What have I ever done wrong? My father had given his life for this kingdom, and I would have done the same. But now, this kingdom wanted to take my life away. I was brought back to reality when they dunked my head into a bucket of water, gasping for air as they pulled me out. To be honest, it didn't seem as though there was a reason for this except some sick type of entertainment. The other knights laughed at me, watching as they tried to pull away from their grasp. Then I was forced to wear prison garbs, dingy clothes made from fabric that made the cold dungeon feel even colder. I was locked in a cell without a word, the others unable to look at me as the wet hand dripped concrete. There was nothing left to do. I wanted to be brave like my father, but what was the point? So I cried as hard and as loud as I wanted, for no one else was around to hear it. At least that's what I thought. But footsteps approached in face you never thought he'd see again. My eyes widened in shock. "My prince, what are you doing here?" "I won't accept this." He was frazzled, speaking quickly. I can't accept this." The prince was holding on to his arms, which was bent at an unnatural angle. "Your arm, it's fine." He shut me up, using a good arm to dig into the pockets of his small pajamas. "My father thinks himself smart. Well, I won't allow him to win." "Where will we go?" I said so solemnly. "We leave? Here? To where?" "Does it matter?" Crosby cocked his head back. "We could live in a small hut in the forest, and it would be no care to me. All I want is you." My eyes began to grow misty as the cell door swung open. We embraced in a warm, love-filled hug, but in the moment of happiness they shared, we hadn't noticed the thick mist that was filling the room when dawn broke and we came to collect me. They were shocked to find the cage empty. Only one thing was left behind: the prince's family ring.